Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out Ectopia by developer Alpaca Leak C from DigiPen Bilbao. This is a first-person exploration platformer, I guess you could say. It's a little bit more on the exploration than the platform, but the platforming certainly does come into it. It's got a very pretty, kind of flat-shaded look to it, and it just seemed like the type of thing that fits right in here on Indie Impressions, so I figured why don't we take a look, and let's check out the options first of all. We've got volume, we've got full screen, we've got quality, VSync, FXAA. I might as well put that on unless it crashes the game. Let's see. Looks like we're good to go. Invert and sensitivity seems fine. So let's show the credits off very quickly and start a new game. Alright, we are in the game, and it actually took quite a bit of fiddling that just happened off camera. Unfortunately, this is one of those games that seems to be very sensitive to settings, so I had to adjust a couple of things. It's okay, I got it to run now, just had to go through a bunch of crashes and sort things out. Anyway, we are now in the game world, so we're going to be presented with this beautiful, brilliant sun and some kind of creepy, primitive snake going into the sun, as well as some cubes and stuff rotating. Quite a pretty looking thing, I must say. But let's wander down this passageway here, and we'll see, or this path, rather, see what we've got in store for us. Like I said, I did play a little bit of this game. It is, it's simple in a lot of ways, but it's also just kind of pretty to look at and kind of mysterious and atmospheric at the same time. So let's activate whatever that pedestal is, and that'll take us to the proper first area, where we're introduced to brilliant colors. Very neon, vivid stuff going on, and this thing also. So this has been the major question that I've had since I started playing this. What is this object floating me around? So I can hit right-click, and I do a whistle, and that seems to call whatever this object is over to me, and then I can hit left-click, and it flings it somewhere, and I'm not really sure to where or why it does that, but I can call it back again, and it will come back. I played, like I said, a few levels into this, and I didn't really find a single use for it. So, I mean, it's like a nice floaty light source that you can have around, and maybe sometimes you don't want to have a light source, so maybe you push it away, or maybe you're using it to capture certain things at some point. Regardless, I haven't really seen what that was about. So, there's some narration here that the developers have done on the walls. The world is yours to explore, and you'll see a very pretty tower off in the distance. I really like the color palette and the way that this is approached from the geometry in certain parts of this. In other parts, it seems a bit like a slog walking through a lot of, you know, kind of blank, empty passageways. So nothing is out of reach, except, like, all the things are out of reach, because if I wanted to, like, go above this labyrinth, well, I don't think I have that option. But that is really pretty, actually. We've got these bits of shadow coming down, some kind of god rays, some soft shading on the edges, and very pretty music playing as well. I really, really like the instrumentation going on in the background. Perhaps a bit serious, although I guess that's kind of what they were going for. Also some nice particles floating in the air to give you that sense of volume. So trust me, and then you go in the crack here. It says do not, because that is a death trap, if I've ever seen one anyway. So we're going to wander about a little bit, see if we can get things sorted out and maybe get through at least a level or two of this. There's sort of a question that I had running through my mind as I played through this, because I feel like there's a number of parts where I was able to kind of skip progress or sequence break in it. And there's a part where the narration says something about that it's not about the journey, it's about the destination, or vice versa, actually. And I kind of wonder if that was like a funny way of them poking fun at that in itself, by letting you get to places you're not supposed to necessarily be, and I kind of like that. Some doors are meant to be opened. Okay, so I'm also getting a little bit of an antechamber vibe, too, by the fact that we're, well, first of all, dealing with this flat shading, and also we've got some narration on the walls that seems to be making some rather grandiose statements. Some are not. Well, I don't know if this is even a door, but let's grab this object here. Also, let's call our friend over for a second. I want to do a little experiment. There you are. So it's got these 3 floating blue cubes under it. When I pick up this key, I wanted to see if any of those cubes change. No, they don't. Okay. I thought maybe that was like an indicator that there's 3 keys in each level, because I think that seemed to be roughly the amount of keys that I seem to pick up anyway. So let's forge on. I also really appreciate that there's some of these little blue cubes hanging in the air here, because this is what's gonna designate that there was a door. There's a few situations where you might actually open a door and not realize that there was even a door there, you know, when you go back to check on where it was. and it's kind of easy to get turned around in some of these situations. This particular area right now, it's fairly linear, but eventually things will fan out. Also, worth noting, this area in particular is not necessarily representative of the rest of the areas. I find this is probably the least interesting looking one of them, aside from the very pretty color scheme, and I must say it is rather striking looking. I think we have a bit of a switch off where in the future areas it's maybe a little less interesting looking from a graphical color palette standpoint and more interesting from a game design standpoint. Things get to be very non-linear, and I got to a point in the game where it seemed like there wasn't anywhere for me to go, like I kind of just finished following the progress that I was allowed to go to, and maybe I found a way to break the game or something. I'm not entirely sure. They could have also been punishing me for going away I wasn't supposed to go or something too. So am I lost? I am here. Okay, where am I? X marks the spot. It doesn't really help me out very much. Okay, let's go back in this direction. I find that this is one of those games where you spend a lot of time just sort of jumping in place because you want to pass the time as you're headed down these long passageways that don't really have much in the way of reward down them. Like this one, we've got 3 different ways to go, one of which I came from already. I'm going to follow the path of least resistance in labyrinth terms and follow the right wall because that's the quickest way not to get lost. And I think you guys would all prefer that I stay as not lost as possible for the sake of entertaining video. Where are we going? That looks like there's just straight up a dead end there, which wasn't very hard to diagnose. And this one hopefully will lead us to a key or something, because I know that there's at least one more door we need to open before we can escape this labyrinth. Okay, so this way goes both left and right. So now we've actually got 3 possible places that we can head to all at the same time, and we need to keep those straight in our heads. So we've got a little bridge here to get us across. And we'll be doing a little bit more platforming when we get to level 2, and I actually really kind of enjoyed the way they approached that, because I was having fun just sort of skipping through everything. Alright, there we go. Door opened. We're going to try and get to that tower and hopefully ascend it. Kind of neat that they let you see where we're going to be going in the future areas, too. There is also not really fall damage, but it just sort of kills your character after you fall a certain distance, so if you are in a position where you can fall particularly far, well, you're not going to be able to actually reach whatever's below you. So just something to keep in mind. And I think I wanted to go this way as well, just to see what was over here. Okay, another bridge. This may or may not actually just take me to the place that I need to go from picking up that key, or it might just loop me back in a circle. Oh, some paths are useless. Okay, well, good to know, I guess. Let's just double check and visually confirm. Yeah, that looks pretty useless to me, unless there's some sort of invisible bridge going on, and I don't think there is. So we're going to follow this back, we're going to take our first left that we find, and then we're going to grab, I think it's the next right after that, and hopefully that'll get us to where we're trying to go, provided I got that mapping straight in my head. You know, I'm usually fairly okay at keeping some 3-dimensional mapping kind of going as I go. I guess I have an okay sense of geography, but sometimes things like this get you really mixed up. What's this little passage here? Is this anything? I don't even think I noticed this last time, or is this how I got through? I'm actually probably overcomplicating things, and now I'm probably going to get lost. And I really hope that's not the case. Ah, okay, here we go. Wait a minute, that's actually where I wanted to end up. So I did just find a shortcut, but it didn't take me to where I wanted to be. It took me back all the way. And this is back through here. Where's the door, guys? Where's the door? Ah, here it is. Okay, I was literally 1 turn away from finding the door in either way. So I guess this isn't all that labyrinthian, because either time you're going to get back to where you needed to be. That is very pretty, I must say. Let's just take a moment and appreciate. Let's frame up a picturesque shot there. There's your desktop if you want to take a snapshot right there. Okay, and moving onward. Got a little bit of a Marble Madness balance beam here for me to traverse. Thankfully, not too daunting, considering I've played quite a good number of first-person games, so I'm fairly good at navigating things like this. We've got a jump pad, which is going to take us up to another, like, sky bridge area, and when we get out of all of this mess, we're going to be able to look back from where we came from and see that we could actually see sort of down into the whole thing. Look, we got some Dragon Ball Z fighting going on right here. I guess that's Vegeta fighting Goku or something, really doesn't matter. And we come out to the massive monolithic tower. Now let's get a little bit of height on this staircase, and of course try and take the fastest path possible. Gonna go up the railings. That's where we want to go, is down through that groove. This is not the fastest path possible. What are you doing? There we go. Now, if I turn around, I should be able to see it all from where we just came from. This doesn't lead anywhere, by the way. There's just like a gap at the end of the staircase. I guess I might as well show you since we're already here. And it looks like it goes down below, but actually... Nope, that's too far. If we fall that far, it's just going to reset us. But yeah, if we look back into where we just came from, looks like quite a strange... I don't know what the architecture term is for that, but it's interesting. It's a big old pile of maze walls. I kind of wish that the skybox had some fog at the bottom, though, so it looks like we were on like a couple of skyscrapers jutting out of nowhere. Instead, it just sort of terminates in nothing, too, which, you know, maybe isn't the most convincing looking thing. But I can't have everything. Color palette, again, very, very pretty here. Alright, so we'll fall down here, and we've got, it looks like, a little jump pad platforming challenge to do. So navigate over this. I can kind of skip a couple at a time, provided my spacing is correct. If I do fall too far, it's actually not that big of a deal, because it'll actually just reset me to the last spot that I stood on ground, I believe. So I should just be right back to where I was a moment ago. And we'll finish this level. Just wanted to see if there's any other cool geometry to see from this angle. Not so much. Alright, level 2 takes us to somewhere a little bit more intimidating looking, where if you notice at the top there seems to be a cubed kind of beating heart, which is very creepy, and all of a sudden the tone changes from sort of melancholy and forlorn to a little bit threatening, which is kind of a nice change, or at least unexpected. And it looks like we've got quite a while to go before we can reach that point. And quite a bit of jumping as well, so why don't we get into things? Oh, well, that's kind of a bad way to start, isn't it? Another situation where looking down, it just sort of does a little bit of the disservice to the game, seeing that there's really nothing down there at all. Really, any direction you look, it'd be kind of nice if there wasn't just something to remind you that you're just in sort of an artificial map construct. And here's another door. Whenever you see these weird old cubes kind of interlocked together, you know that's somewhere we've got to find one of these keys for. And now we've unlocked that. They give you plenty of auditory notice that you've done something, but you can't always see where you've actually unlocked, so sometimes you have to be aware of your surroundings. And jump pad should take us right on up. There we go. And if I remember correctly, we want to actually head in the opposite direction, because if we were looking ahead, logic would dictate that we would want to head up as fast as possible, but that actually ends up terminating in a doorway, so, you know, let's avoid that kind of rat race of just kind of going forward for no reason. And so we're actually looping all the way back around to where we just were from the other side. This is the elevator that we just took up, the jump pad rather, and now we're going to fall down. It's not about the goal. Oh, did I fall too far? I guess I didn't need to jump ahead of time. Yeah, okay, so it was like right on the threshold of being too far. And now we're just gonna zoom on back to where I just came from. Might as well use the railings for funsies, right? Give yourself some mental challenge here to overcome. For some reason, I feel like this actually would be really entertaining if there was like a reward for you taking the path that seemed less intuitive. The sort of like speedrun route. Wow, okay, my jumping's terrible. You should have seen me when I did this without recording. Oh my god. I was just like jumping up all these railings like a beast, and I felt like I was doing some kind of a speedrun, and it was exciting, and now I'm just gonna not do that because it's actually just making a fool of myself. There's also one of those kind of like command line UI readouts going on another window in this game for some reason. I'm not really sure what dictates that to happen. But it seems to be having lots of errors in the back. I see many things that are in red, so hopefully you guys won't have issues, but just so you know, I seem to be having some red things showing up there, and it doesn't seem to be affecting the game as far as I can tell, but I also had it crash a lot of times. So, yeah, be warned, I guess. So this is where the door would have been had I not picked up that key and saved myself some time. It says, you are alone, and before it just said, you are here, I suppose, and then there was just a wall. So now we're going to make that jump. I was thinking if I was particularly good with my jumping skills that I might be able to just make it over to this railing and just skip this part entirely. And I have been able to do that in some situations, but that one in particular, not so much. I was kind of batting it back and forth in my head of whether or not I thought that the developers were intentionally setting up some of these things to be sort of speedrun oriented, and then I was also thinking, well, I've found some of them where they actually seem to put up an invisible wall to keep you out, so I think probably the ones that I was able to take advantage of were mostly just oversight, and maybe they just didn't predict that people would be trying to cheat through the game that way. You know, the movement feels nice, so it seems like you kind of want to take advantage of whatever angles and action that you can figure out to use to get through the area faster, because, you know, it does feel nice when you're moving through an area seamlessly like that. So we've gotten to the area where the heart is at, and you can hear it beating. It's actually quite loud and quite scary. And there was actually a floor on the way up here that I don't think I actually perused. I'm betting this is where I was supposed to go, but you know what? I'm going to be a big old jerk and I'm going to cheat. So just note, that's probably where I was meant to go. Instead, though, I'm going to go up to the top. And you also might be thinking, well, maybe you're supposed to, like, jump down on that heart since you're now above it and sort of hanging there like a chandelier. It is unfortunately too low. If I was to try to make that dive, wouldn't quite work. Alright, so there's a sealed door. And we're going to go right in here. There's another sealed door. And because I'm a big old smarty pants, I'm going to go right through the window and just skip both of those cubes that I would have had to find. So I'm actually just making the game less substantial for myself, but also, you know, it's making me feel clever, I guess, and I appreciate that. So this is what I mean, where I wasn't sure if the developers were doing this stuff intentionally, but it didn't seem like it would take all that much to figure out. And this is going to lead us up to another staircase, which is then another level exit. It's about the question. Okay, well now we know what it's about. It was about the hokey pokey, right? And we find ourselves in a brilliantly lit jail, which seems to remind me actually of that one level from Doom 2 where you like start in a box and then you hit the switch and then all the walls fall away or you rise up and there's just freaking monsters everywhere. Only in this case, not so much monsters, but little markers all over the ground and a pile of walls. So I'm not actually sure which direction we're supposed to start in. I guess we'll start with whatever direction seems to be open. And that would be this one. There's also some kind of strange whispering happening off in the distance, which I find rather creepy. And we'll walk all the way down here. It's got a little bit of an anti-aliasing issue. It looks very blocky as we walk through this series of gates, but I think it's also just the shading on the bottom of the gates kind of fighting with each other. And there's our cube. And we're actually just going to grab that. And notice there's actually a whole bunch of words on all of the gates as we would have seen them if we would have walked back through. But instead of walking back through, I'm actually just going to take the speedrun route again. Because for whatever reason, I seem to be obsessed with figuring out ways to break this silly game. And this is going to lead us to a series of floaty platforms. Very curious to hear what all your opinions are about this, too, because it seems like the type of thing that I almost would kind of like to actually try to run through very quickly, just to see what's possible with that, even though probably no one's playing this game but me. Well, and maybe a handful of others once the video goes up. That's what I could hope anyway. And let's jump on this, and then we'll just wait as it goes back to where we just came from. It is certainly pretty. It has its moments, and it's got a nice soundtrack, which really does complement it well. Just on the colors and the sounds and everything feels like, well, you kind of want to take your time and explore this environment. I'm just being silly by jumping through it super fast. So right here, you can see that's our level exit already. And if we go in here, it looks like there's a key. And I thought I was actually already to the end of things, but nope. Oh, wait a minute. That's not quite right. Oh no! I cheated my way out of speedrunning this level. For whatever reason, when I picked up that key last time, it didn't actually trigger anything to happen, and now everything's just flashing like crazy. That's probably bad. But yeah, there's actually a way to just sort of jump around and get to the exit, because there's like a little bit of a lip that I'm not sure was meant to be there. But it's probably better that I actually experience the game properly, right? So we've got a series of boxes sort of mirroring the boxes we were seeing in the other room. Kind of neat looking. And I can't get enough of these surreal environments with Just very minimalist aesthetics. For some reason, that just really does the trick for me. And I don't actually know where or what I'm supposed to be finding in this other than maybe another key. Well, I'm pretty certain that is what it is. There's actually a wall that hasn't opened up. Can I fall here? Yes, I can. And where does this lead me to? Oh, there's a key. And it looks like that's going to then bring me back around to maybe come back to the central area. Oh, these are jump pads. Okay. I was wondering why I was acting bouncy. I wasn't actually holding spacebar. I'll just take this nice and slow. And is this going to bring me back to the central area again? Maybe... Okay, this is the area where I just was ejected from. I'm going to assume that now I'm supposed to come back at it from another angle. That'll lead me back up to the top. And we can take it from there. So this is one of the cases where actually it can't jump up, even though you totally can. There's just an invisible wall, so I guess they're sort of compensating for the level design there, which is a little frustrating. I'd rather they just made the lip too high to jump to. That way there's no sort of silly rules to get away from. And what's going on? Oh, so this is where I just was a moment ago. And I guess I can still show you how to cheat. So then I just jumped around here and... Oh. That was actually even easier. So the invisible wall is just on this side. And as long as you clear this edge, it looks like you can actually get up here. And likely, you can just jump down and win. So there you go. That's another level complete. And this takes us to the level that I got stuck on. And I'm not really sure what, if anything, I did wrong. But as it turns out, we're going to find our way down into a passage full of these very dimly lit areas. And you're just going to keep jumping down until eventually you fall off the bottom one and you're just sort of wandering about aimlessly in a big old dimly lit area. And this was actually kind of exciting. So the pacing of the music with the way my character was rhythmically having to jump almost felt like I was playing a game where I was being chased or something. Even though the only thing chasing me is really just myself. Or I guess my little light buddy. Very melodramatic, very kind of over the top, actually. I'm not really sure why we're so worried about whatever this is. But it is definitely worrisome. So we're actually almost to the bottom already. And you can see the floor from here. And once you get down here, it's just kind of GG. I chose to repeat this mistake that I made just for your sake, so you don't also make the same mistake. If you do find yourself in this level, probably don't go the way that I just went. Because now we're just going to wander about. There may be a way to get out of here, but I wasn't able to find it. All there is just walls on all sides except for this side, and if you try to fall down here, well, you'll see that there's actually some stuff there, but I can't really get the light to follow me down this time. Maybe not exactly over here, but there's like some cages and stuff that you can't quite fall to because they're a little too far down. So, you know, I suppose I'm not completely off in going this way, but I'm not sure where I was actually meant to be, because it doesn't seem to be here. Anyway, that's going to be Ectopia. I think I will leave us off at this point. It's an interesting little experiment, certainly the type of thing that I enjoy playing. Hopefully you feel the same way. Feel free to go download it. It's completely free. I will have a link for it in the description for you if you want to go ahead and grab it. And let me know what you think about it right in the comments, because I'd love to hear your opinions, I always do, and we could have a little bit of a debate. Well, it seems like I could jump up to this, can't I? Maybe if there was a little bit of a something I could jump off of, but maybe that's not the case. Also, I saw some weird glitching last time I was here that I'm not seeing happening this time. The walls were just behaving very strangely, and maybe maybe that was the problem. Maybe the game was just glitching out, and the area that I was supposed to walk to was just sort of breaking. It looked like the floor in the area that I was getting to was just sort of becoming invisible and phasing out of reality. Is this... No, still nothing. Anyway... Thank you, everybody, for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the episode, consider leaving a like on it. It helps me out a whole bunch so we can help spread the word about artistic, original, unique, and generally unseen indie games, and help more people find out about them and play them, and hopefully keep talking about them and all of that. Of course, make sure you come back again tomorrow if you enjoyed what you saw here. There will be many, many more to come. New episodes of Indie Impressions go up every single day, and if you enjoy the concept behind seeing a new weird, original, artistic, or unique indie game, consider subscribing to the channel, because that also helps me out a whole bunch, and then you'll get notifications whenever I post anything new. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.